Do you believe in betrayal? No, not the cheap kind. Not lipstick on a collar. Not a message left open on a phone. I mean the kind that rots slowly. The kind that makes you question your own memory. Tell me something. If your wife gave birth to a child, and that child had your best friend's eyes, would you call it coincidence? Or would you start replaying every laugh, every touch, every silence? They say jealousy is ugly, but doubt is elegant. Doubt dresses itself in logic. It whispers instead of screams. It makes you believe you're the same one. I used to think I was a victim. Then I thought I was a monster. Now, I'm not sure which version of the story keeps me alive. All I know is this. A man died. A woman fell. A boy grew up looking like someone he shouldn't. And if you listen carefully, you might decide I'm innocent. Or you might decide I destroyed everything because I needed to believe I had been betrayed. Either way, by the end of this story, you won't trust me. And maybe you shouldn't. My name is Edgar, and if there's one thing I have learned, it is that love is not an emotion. It is a degenerative disease. I met Lenore on a night when the sky itself seemed to be rotting. She wore black velvet in the summer. Who wears velvet in the summer? Only people who understand that heat is irrelevant when you carry hell inside you. She had eyes that were too dark, not large, not bright, just deep, as if they concealed an entire theater of sins that would never be performed in the light. I desired her before I loved her, and perhaps that was my mistake. Our relationship was never clean. There was something animalistic between us. It was not tenderness. It was need. A hunger so intense it felt humiliating afterward. There were nights when our bodies collided with a kind of consensual violence, nails carving into skin, breath breaking, filthy words whispered that sounded more like blasphemy than affection, and afterward silence. Lenore always went silent afterward, not a satisfied silence, a calculated one, as if she were studying me, as if she were documenting every weakness. That was when Victor entered the stage. My best friend since childhood. Victor was my opposite, magnetic, confident, a man whose presence reorganized any room around him. He laughed loudly, touched people when he spoke, possessed that effortless charm that never asks permission. Lenore found him interesting. That's how she put it. Interesting. Victor began visiting our house. The house I purchased with money inherited from a family that never gave love, only expectation. A house of long corridors and staircases that creaked like they were guarding secrets. Sometimes I would watch them talking in the kitchen, standing too close, laughing too softly, but I never saw anything. Never. And that is what corrodes me. I began developing small rituals. I smelled the sheets when Lenore left the house, touched her clothes, searched for invisible marks. Sometimes I sensed something different, a strange scent, a lingering warmth. Other times, nothing. She began provoking my insecurities with delicate cruelty. You've been looking at me like I'm a crime. Maybe she was, or maybe I wanted her to be, because there's a dark pleasure in feeling betrayed. A pleasure that legitimizes internal violence. Then came the announcement. Lenore was pregnant. I should have cried with joy. But when I saw the child for the first time, when he was born on that storm-soaked dawn, something inside me fractured. The boy was named Adrian, and he had Victor's eyes. Not similar. Identical. The same shape. The same slight tilt when he fixed his gaze. The same calm insolence. Victor died 3 months later. Officially, it was an accident, a fall down a staircase downtown after a night of drinking. But I remember that night. I remember he was in my house. I remember we argued, but I do not remember about what. There are fragments. Lenore crying, Victor saying my name with contempt, my hands clenched, a push, or only words. Sometimes I dreamed that I pushed him. Sometimes I dreamed that he fell on his own. Sometimes I dreamed that Lenore was standing behind him, wearing a nearly imperceptible smile. Adrian grew, and the more he grew, the more he became a walking mirror of my dead friend. He looked at me the way Victor did, with judgment, with superiority. I began to hate that child, and to hate myself for hating him. Lenore seemed to observe everything with that same clinical silence she always had. She touched the boy with tenderness, but sometimes Sometimes I would catch something different in her gaze when she noticed me staring at Adrian. Defiance, or guilt, or triumph. I began drinking more. There were nights when I felt the urge to physically confront her, to tear a confession from her throat. A violent impulse grew inside me, not necessarily against her, but against the doubt. Doubt is worse than betrayal, because betrayal is at least concrete. Doubt is a worm that never stops writhing. One night, I found one of Victor's old handkerchiefs in a drawer in Lenore's bedroom. She said it was old, that I was inventing connections, that I needed help. Perhaps I did. But why keep the handkerchief? Why did Adrian have that gaze? Why did Victor die right after that argument? And why did Lenore never look directly into my eyes when I asked if the boy was mine? She always answered the same way. He is yours if you want him to be. What does that mean? If I want him to be? The years passed. The house grew colder. Adrian distanced himself from me. He became a silent young man, too intelligent, too observant, as if he knew something I did not, or as if he had inherited it from someone. Lenore fell ill, not physically, but something inside her was deteriorating. Sometimes she laughed alone. Sometimes she looked at me as if she were witnessing the end of an experiment. On the night she died, we were alone. We argued. I accused her. She called me weak. I called her a whore. She laughed, and said, "You needed to believe I betrayed you to justify what you did to Victor." Did I do something to Victor? Did I advance toward her? Or did I only scream? I remember the smell of sweat. I remember blood, but I don't know whose. Lenore was found on the bedroom floor. Internal hemorrhage. Accidental fall, they said. Adrian looked at me at the funeral, with Victor's eyes. No tears. Today I live alone in the same house. Adrian left as soon as he could. Sometimes I ask myself, was Victor the father? Did I kill him? Did Lenore betray me? Or did I construct this entire narrative because I needed to be the victim of something greater than my own madness? Perhaps I killed my best friend over unfounded jealousy. Perhaps I destroyed my marriage with paranoia. Perhaps I turned my own son into a symbol of adultery that never existed. Or perhaps Lenore manipulated me from the beginning. Perhaps she used my diseased desire as fuel. Perhaps she provoked every suspicion to slowly push me into the abyss. I do not know. I only know that I am alone. And sometimes, when I pass the hallway mirror, I see 3 reflections behind me. Victor, Lenore, and a boy whose eyes were never mine. But perhaps they were never his either. Ah, the story. Funny how everyone always wants to know the same thing. Did she cheat or not? As if the truth would actually change anything. The cruel beauty of this narrative is that it exists entirely through one pair of eyes. There are no facts, only interpretations. No evidence, only suspicion. We never witness a betrayal. We witness a man searching for one. And when you search long enough, you will find it. Even if you have to invent it. That's the exquisite detail. It is never clear whether she betrayed him. Never. There's no confession. No undeniable proof. No final revelation. What we get instead is a man whose jealousy isn't romantic. It's pathological. A jealousy that doesn't want to protect love. It wants to possess it. He didn't want the truth. He wanted control. And doubt is far more elegant than certainty. Certainty ends a story. Doubt corrodes it from the inside. It begins small. A glance, a smile, a comment that feels just a little too harmless. Then it becomes a scent on the sheets. Then a resemblance in a child's eyes. Then reflections in mirrors. His mind does the rest. Because the human mind despises emptiness. And when answers are missing, it manufactures monsters perfectly tailored to its fears. The most deliciously perverse possibility? Maybe she never did anything at all. Maybe the only true infidelity was his own paranoia. Pathological jealousy is fascinating. It disguises itself as devotion, but it's pure wounded ego. It whispers, "I'm afraid of losing you." But what it truly screams is, "I cannot bear not being enough." And so he does what insecure men always do when they feel small. He tries to shrink the world around him. He watches. He interprets. He distorts. He tests. He provokes. He imagines. And in doing so, he builds the very reality he fears. Alone. Notice how he ends. No heroic breakdown. No redemption. No final truth that comforts the audience. Just a man who allowed doubt to become identity. Suspicion became a lens. The lens became a personality. The personality became a prison. And perhaps, just perhaps, no one destroyed his life but himself. It's almost poetic. He wanted proof. He got ghosts. He wanted loyalty. He got isolation. He wanted certainty. He got mirrors. And here's the dark joke at the center of it all. If she cheated, he destroyed everything because of it. If she didn't, he destroyed everything for nothing. Either way, the ending is the same. Loneliness. And the cruelest part? His mind is probably still trying to solve it, replaying every memory, every gesture, every glance, like a failed detective chasing a crime that may never have existed. Because doubt doesn't want resolution. It wants survival. In the end, this is a story about betrayal. It's a story about a man who chose suspicion over self-reflection. And that is far more disturbing. After all, traitors wound. But the paranoid? They burn their own house down, and then blame the smoke. So before you leave, let me ask you something. Do you think she cheated? Or do you think he simply lost his mind? That's the cruelty of this story. It never gives you an answer, and that is an accident. This narrative was heavily influenced by Dom Casmurro, written by Machado de Assis, where doubt matters more than facts, where suspicion destroys more than proof ever could. And of course, there's the ever-present shadow of Edgar Allan Poe, the unstable narrator, the fragile mind, the slow descent into obsession disguised as reason. Nothing here is absolute. Everything here is perception, and maybe that's why it lingers under your skin. If you enjoy stories where psychology cuts deeper than violence, where horror is born from uncertainty, I highly recommend reading Dom Casmurro and diving into Poe's work. I've left the links in the description for anyone who wants to explore the roots of this kind of madness. Now let me ask you for something in return. If this story unsettled you, if it made you question what's real, or worse, if you saw a little bit of yourself in it, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, because this is only the beginning. There are many more minds to dissect, many more doubts to plant, many more houses to burn down, metaphorically of course. I'll see you in the next story, and until then, be careful what you choose to believe.